First of all, heartiest congratulations to you, ma'am, for completing 31st Bihar Judicial Services in our very first attempt with a very good rank, that is 49th. So, it's today we have Prachi Acharya in front of us. Today we will be like exclusively talking about your complete journey, that how was your journey throughout. So, yeah, today we have Prachi Acharya here. So, ma'am, just tell us about your the journey, your educational background. How did you initially started your studies, your school, your college?
Thank you so
Over to
much.
you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shweta. So it is really immense pleasure. It is an immense pleasure to be talking about my journey. My education started with Army Public School, Danapur. I was a student from class 1 to 12th. I was there in Army Public School, Danapur. And I was fortunate, in fact, to be the state topper in my class 12th board examination. I secured 97% in humanities. I was very well determined that I want to pursue law from the very beginning, and that is one reason why I chose humanities in the first place. After then, I went to I.L.S Law College, Pune. In I.L.S Law College, Pune, back then it was on the basis of your 12th grade marks. So I was admitted in the very first list. From 2014 to 2019, I was there in Pune studying BA LLB. After then, I cleared CLAT, and that was in top 300. I was there in top 300.
Okay.
I got NUJS Kolkata for the LLM degree. I did corporate and commercial laws in LLM degree in that. After that, I also cleared UGC NET JRF. And then I started my preparation for Bihar Judicial Services. I always wanted to enter judicial services, but because of so much of delay and the corona, I appeared for UGC NET exam also, and I secured a good position there too.
Okay.
So that was my
And
educational.
one of the very important question which can actually inspire a lot of since I am also there, one of the aspirant over there, why judiciary? Since you come from a very diverse background, you did your law from a very good college, and then masters from NUJS, and then you also cleared NET. Then why judiciary? You must be having a lot of options over there. But
Definitely.
still judiciary, because it's not very safe side. People say that there is a lot of risk. You are not very sure कि होगा नहीं होगा, बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं. तो उतना dedication, उतने options होने के बाद भी, तो that's a very it's a big deal. So tell us about that.
Definitely, when you do law, you have a variety of options. Like you can enter litigation, you can be a corporate lawyer, you can be a good teacher, professor. There are varied options available, and I would tell you that you can actually choose one career option, see for yourself whether you adjust there, or one is that you pick and then choose, and one is that you straight line, you are determined that you want to do this particular thing. So I was the person who went for law because I wanted to do judicial services.
From very beginning,
From-
you were
from-
prepared.
from
कि
the very
judiciary
beginning.
करना है.
Yes. The main reason for that would be that I always wanted to serve and do justice.
And that's a very big thing.
In my opinion, justice is a very utopian concept. You cannot actually see that justice is, you cannot touch justice, but you can feel justice. And that feeling is something which you can do, you can give to the society when you are associated with this fraternity. So this is something which has touched me greatly, and that is one reason why I opted for judicial services. It was not that I have not tried other options. I did try, but my mind never deviated from what I really wanted to do.
It's more like you were very much dedicated towards judiciary कि कितना भी कुछ इधर उधर से हो जाए, I'm going to serve the society. It was
Yes.
there in you since very beginning.
Yes, definitely.
Apart from that, the very important question I would like to ask today is your examination preparation strategy. What was your strategy? So starting from the prelims, what was your strategy for figuring out things for prelims?
So when the notification came out of 31st Bihar Judicial Services, back then I was in Kolkata. I was doing my LLM. Actually, one reason why I chose to do LLM was because there was no notification in Bihar. I wanted to serve in Bihar.
Okay.
So after the notification, I was sure that I want to do it during my search for someone who could guide me, because everyone requires a mentor, a guide who can touch you, shape you in a better, mold you in a better fashion. So I interacted with Kameshwar Prasad sir, and it was a very you can say a fluke. By fluke I met him. I did not know at all about
Destiny.
him. It was destiny, you can say. So I was just searching for institutes in Patna where I can give mock tests and series, and I interacted with Kameshwar Prasad sir. So then at that point of time, he told me about his success in the 30th Judicial, and a lot of people have actually went, and the interaction was so surreal. I mean, I'm not over emphasizing on these things, but it was something which has actually touched me greatly. So after then, I decided that I don't want to do anything else. I would just go to him and I would take his guidance no matter what happens. I want to do this and I want to do it with him. So prelims, sir's strategy was that focus on the bare act, have a grip on the law subjects, as well as also touch upon on the GK and GS subjects. So everything went very very smoothly even in the Corona times. So I would tell you there are
the classes during COVID. If I'm not wrong, that particular time was COVID time. Like
Yes.
when you started like preparing and all. How did you cope up? Like
So there are
Since it
there are
was
very
COVID.
less teachers who actually got equipped with the technology. So this is something which he has very nicely acquired that thing. Although he is not someone who is coming from our generation, he has a lot of experience of conducting offline classes. But then it was very smooth for us. We used to interact 4 hours, 5 hours daily on the daily basis. GK, GS plus mock, and then law subjects. And it was not that he would be teaching you only, teaching you for long. It was, we used to have jokes, we used to have motivational topics, we used to have discussion on faith, we used to have discussion on what are the experiences of other candidates, because I would tell you that he has a experience of above 20 years for teaching.
yeah.
So it has actually, inspired every person who was there in our, even during the COVID times. So my strategy for prelims, I would say, basically was to listen to him and just sit there in my room, working on the MCQs, whatever, wherever I could. I have opted for other test series also, but then it was only on because it was only on my
Like up
this
to
thing.
you, like-
It was like foolproof that if you if you work on his strategy, you would succeed. So, but there are other options, and like
It's
that-
somehow it's like your strategy as well, and but then the thing is you should stuck.
Yes.
You should be there.
You should
patiently.
always. This is something that you should always have faith on one person. No matter what other things you do, because ultimately it is on your personality, it is on your struggle also. Everyone has their own struggle, but one thing is for sure, that you have to straight away focus on one person and have faith on that person.
You can't be researching here and there.
No,
always.
definitely not.
It's not
because
gonna work.
otherwise, you would just research and do nothing. So the saying goes, "Jack of all trades and master of none."
Yeah.
The same thing would happen there also.
Okay, ma'am. Apart from that, one of the very important question again, like when it comes to like opting subjects for optional, this makes like a very big confusion among students कि कौन सा subject लिया जाए, कौन सा नहीं लिया जाए, where I'm good in writing, where I'm good, where I'm bad. तो अगर opt करने की बात आए, then how to choose subjects, and also what were your subjects and why did you choose like that
See, a
particular
lot of
subject?
I have interacted with my seniors also, and I have gone through that process of selecting optional subjects for myself. Right now, I can give you all like surety that there is no criteria of judging on the basis of how much marks you would get if you choose this particular subject. The only criteria should be that what subject interests you. If that subject interests you, then definitely you should opt for that subject. So my optional subjects on the basis of my interest and nothing else was transfer of property act, specific relief act, contract and torts, and commercial laws. So that was my optional subjects.
So it's like completely up to you, like where your interest relies. That actually matters for
Definitely.
optional subjects. Okay. So after optional, what again comes the very important one again, the deciding one is your interview. So how was your interview? The most interesting, since you have a very good like a rank. So what would you say about the interview? Like, what is the role you play throughout the interview?
So before that, should I just interrupt you on that? But I want to add on to the mains strategy as well. Strategy of mains would be basically you write a lot of answers. So the better when you opt for one question, one past year question, you write for 3 hours, and then you check your answers from your mentors. And if you do it continuously, you would see a lot of growth in yourself, because nobody is perfect. Everybody has a lot of knowledge there. Here and there you have a lot of, like, you have books, you have notes, you have study materials which we received also. But then at the end, it only boils down to the fact that how much you are writing within time. So you have a limited period of time, you have a limited space, you have limitations as to everything. Considering that, you have to focus your mind and do the writing part. So that can only come with practice. So that is one
skill.
thing. Yes.
That how much you are writing, and what actually matters is that time limit. कि आप उतने देर में कितना लिख पा रहे हैं.
हाँ. And the concise material you have. So,
and what about material, study material? Would you like to say something about the material? कि कहाँ से लिखना, textbook, notes, whether like the notes should be yours या फिर आप किसी और के notes पे rely कर सकते हैं.
See,
something like that.
The point is that it is totally depending on you, but it is very, very important that you have a concise material. Maybe you can do value addition to that. But if you have a concise material, and Kautilya Institute did provide the concise material to everyone, every student. So if we add something on our own, our value addition would make your answer your own. Okay. So you have to make your answer copy your own. It should not be copy of somebody else. Somebody else would not do the work which you are supposed to do. But at the end of the day, you should know what is the backbone of a particular answer. So this was my strategy. I had the basic things which I need to cover, but I pick and chose and did my research and concluded with that.
What ultimately matters is your practice.
Definitely.
Without practice, there's like no shortcut.
There's one thing which Kameshwar sir always used to say, that it's not important that how beautiful your answer is. It's important that you complete it in time.
Yeah.
Especially in Bihar Judicial Services, and that comes definitely with your practice.
Okay, so this was all about mains का paper. Next, as I already mentioned, कि interview का क्या role है? What a candidate, like, what are the pros and cons? What are do's and don'ts throughout the interview? And how was your interview?
So interview practice, when after the mains exam, when I went here for the interview practice, is a very different set of practice which Kameshwar sir conducts interview in. It was that you have a lot of students here sitting, and everybody had the option and the opportunity to ask any question from anybody, and it was obviously online as well as offline mode. So we had people sitting in Delhi, people sitting in Banaras, Lucknow, sitting here, people working as a clerk, as an assistant, joining here in the interview process. So it was a very, very welcoming move by Kameshwar Prasad sir. And in fact, I had the opportunity to conduct a lot of interviews here. So I was always put in an anchored position. I was fortunate that I was put in the anchored position.
That actually boosts your confidence.
Boosts my confidence in every possible way, and it happened with all the students actually. So sir used to say that you have some kind of expertise in commercial law, so you do one thing, you ask company law questions today, and I would be sitting and I would be evaluating on your questions today.
Okay.
So your mind would start working on what would somebody ask you from there. It is not that important that you know the answer. Sometimes it is important to know the questions itself.
Yeah.
And that has worked a lot in that interview process.
Like what's your expertise in that particular subject? What is your depth?
Yes, definitely, and that used to happen with every student. So a student who is good in constitutional law was sent to ask questions from other students on constitutional law, and because of that we had a variety of questions. I can give you like on surety, and I'm compiling that for Kautilya Institute also.
Okay.
6 months we were preparing, and I have 2,000 plus questions of just interview, and it was segregated subject wise. It had a cumulative collection, and we are soon releasing that also. I'm officially
announcing this for everyone that we have a set of questions for interview.
Definitely. So I have not edited any part of it. It would be raw
As it
thing
is.
as it is, which we have actually dealt in the whole interview session.
It's like a journal.
It's like a
More
journal.
like a journal.
It's like a journal, and you would definitely enjoy reading that.
And any like tips for the aspirants, what to do, what not to do throughout interview. That's a very important thing. I think it's a deciding factor.
Yes, definitely. So interview, one thing is when we were preparing for an interview, I told you that he's not just my mentor, he's just like my father. He was always very supportive in every kind of, in my ups, in my downs. He used to give me a call, you don't have to feel bad. Your position is secured in Bihar Judicial Services. This is what he used to say every time. It was really very motivating, and during the interview also used to say to everybody actually that start meditating. Do some yoga, do some exercise, do something which interests you, because you not, because if you feel stressed about what marks would I secured in mains, how much do I need to get in interview to get selected, this is a mounting pressure.
Yeah.
Which everybody does experience, but at the same time you have to limit those negative thoughts. The more positive you are, all the world would transpire to make
It's like
you
a
judge.
vibration.
It is like a vibration, and this room, I would tell you, this has a lot of good vibration. The room which we are shooting in,
sitting here.
we have a lot of judges who are serving in different districts of Bihar, serving in very good ranks, and a very intelligent people serving in Bihar Judicial Services, in other judicial services. It's a very good vibration plus motivational aspect of Kameshwar Prasad. So it's brilliant.
Okay, so this was all about interview. Now coming to like kind of conclusion part of the complete the conversation here. What would be the message you want to convey to the aspirants here?
Yeah, definitely I would do that. But Shweta, I would just take a minute to give you
Sure,
a
sure.
brief background on what were the interview questions.
Sure, yeah.
So interview questions. So when I went there, the first question was about my educational background itself. So they have a brief paper in which they know that which year you have passed on. So I would tell you that they would never have the name of yours or any kind of background of your mains marks. Please be sure that they do not have these kind of things with them. They just have the educational qualification which you have, so they know that which year you have passed out and which college you have passed out. So they did ask me that after 2019, when you did your BA LLB, after that what you have done. So interview board was very cordial, very humble, and they were very cooperative when I was answering. In fact, honorable judge was also nodding when I was answering. So it was a very comfortable position for me. So initially, the interview was started by the psychologist. After then, I was asked that what was my optional subject. In my optional subject, when I told that I have contract and tort, so they picked tort, and they asked few questions on tort. Example, vicarious liability, constructive liability, and then they asked me about strict liability, vicarious liability in terms of master servant as well as the state, and they asked contributory negligence. They asked me about the neighborhood principle, which was given in the Donoghue versus Stevenson case. After that, they asked me about my LLM specialization when I told commercial law. So they said that what is the difference between cooperative law and the corporate law and the commercial laws. After then, they asked me about the insolvency and bankruptcy code. That why because that was my subject in LLM. So there was specific question on the specialization which I have come from. They asked me about some dissertation. Then they asked me about some personal questions, personality based questions. After that, it moved to honorable judge, who asked me about Juvenile Justice Act in brief. And then he asked me about he himself after a point of time said that you don't need to answer this question because that was not in your syllabus. I just wanted to see whether you are aware about this surrounding areas or not. After then, he asked me about irresistible impulse in IPC and few questions on IPC. So that was my interview overall. When I stood there and I was leaving, so he said whether you want to ask me any question, because we were very, like, we asked you a lot of questions and now we want to hear some questions from you. So then I smiled. He also smiled, and then he said, "Okay, fine, you can leave."
That was a
the
kind of
meetings.
more like a positive.
It was. I felt it was a positive reaction to my answers, because I was
Indication.
able to answer those
Answer all the
questions.
questions.
So it
Because
was a
usually
very-
what I have listened is ki usually there are candidates who are not able to answer 100% questions, but you did. So that's like a very good like achievement for you.
and you know, a lot of times when you answer a wrong question, they are so much cooperative that they would tell you also that you have gone wrong on this place, so that
Yeah.
you do not have any confusion later on that you did answer this thing, but
Mhm.
then you got
Wrong.
wrong
Yeah.
feedback. So that was all. So that was my interview.
That was your
experience.
interview.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you have already mentioned about the mentors, like who have played a very important role throughout the journey, would you like to say something else about your parents, your teachers who have always been throughout your journey before we sum up the session?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very grateful to my mother, who's also a teacher in Army Public School, Danapur, and my father, who always stood there. I can tell you that from class 1st to class 12th,
Mhm.
I used to be sitting on my mama's bike, and she used to take me to school. And so the guidance and the mentorship and the person behind your back, even if you do something wrong,
Mhm.
I was always fortunate to have. During my childhood, it was my mother and father. During my journey in I.L.S and NUJSB, I have good teachers. And finally, in my journey in BJS, I have found a fatherly figure in Kameshwar Prasad sir.
Okay.
So it was a cumulative effort of everyone, which I would say that I have reached to this place. And I'm very, very grateful to God for transpiring and making me a judge finally.
So overall, there are like a lot of factors which are there for like behind your success. So it was pleasure having you here today. I am like pretty sure that all the things, whatever experiences you have shared, will help our aspirants, me as well, since I am also there, and all of the like viewers, students who all are there. So thank you so much for your precious time, ma'am.
Thank you so much.